think the felon in this election is Joe Biden. What he's doing to the country is criminal.
If you can't admire Joe Biden as a person, then it's probably you got a problem. He is as good a man as God ever created.
As God ever created a good man. That's Lindsey Graham. You've seen those videos before. I literally have a dozen of them chinned up of how Lindsey Graham has become the picture and the fame of the spineless Republican of the modern party. Who look back how he talked about Trump as being a great man, then saying being a terrible racist. And now he's this big fan. But there's more, and there's more recent ones. And this is one of the ones I found the most troubling. He is the most passionate Ukraine supporter in the United States Republican Senate of the Republican caucus. Bar no one, I think. Lindsey just has been passionate about supporting Ukraine. So Zelenskyy came to D.C., if you remember, a few months ago. It went horribly sideways when Trump and J.D. Vance acted like complete jackasses. Here's when Lindsey came out of the White House.
Complete. All right. So, what I think? Complete, utter disaster. I've been to Ukraine 8 or 9 times since the war started. I understand the consequences of Putin's actions against Ukraine. I appreciate what the Ukrainian people have done. They fought like tigers. At the end of the day, I was hoping that this minerals deal, which would be transformative in the relationship, would go over well. I talked to Zelenskyy this morning. Don't take the bait. President Trump was in a very good mood last night. Somebody asked me, am I embarrassed about Trump? I have never been more proud of the president. I was very proud of J.D. Vance, standing up for our country. We want to be helpful. What I saw in the Oval Office was disrespectful, and I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelenskyy again.
Needless to say, we're doing business with Zelenskyy again. I'm not sure if I've ever found a video as somebody who cares about Ukraine as just embarrassing and cowardly as Lindsey Graham saying the president was in a good mood. That's who we're dealing with, right? And then let's not forget his vote on the big, beautiful bill. This is what he says about the things we care about, your health care.
Entitlements are going to consume the budget. Right now, we're at 2050, we're going to have 185% of debt to GDP. Medicare and Social Security and other entitlement programs are worth saving are going to consume the debt. We're down to a small fraction of the federal pie to run the discretionary part of government. So entitlement reform is a must for us to not become Greece.
Entitlement. Human beings having health care and nutrition benefits is an entitlement. And that is really where we're at. And you got to remember, he represents South Carolina, a state with a history of, people having tough times. It's a very, very diverse state. And Lindsey Graham ain't it. But you know what? The last time he ran for office, he had a run, right? Jamie Harrison gave him a run for money. Well, this time he's got an experienced candidate running against him, a campaigner who's been there before, and somebody who's got some real world chops. That's my friend, Dr. Annie Andrews. She was the Democratic nominee for Congress in 2022 against Nancy Mace, and now she's jumped into the Senate race with both feet, and she is doing great. I was eager to get her to the hot seat, so I'm thrilled to have her with me. This is I'm Fred Wellman, host of On Democracy with FP1, right here on the MeidasTouch Network, and this is In the Hot Seat with Dr. Annie Andrews.
Hey,
Annie,
Fred.
welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Good to see you, friend. Thank you for having me.
It must be something watching those videos and seeing him now. You've run. You're a pediatrician. You ran before. You know the stakes. You're a mom. You're not somebody who's new to this. But you're a second-time candidate. As I mentioned, I love second-time candidates. Why are you jumping into such a tough race? He's been there for a long time. Why are you taking on Lindsey Graham this time?
Lindsey Graham is the epitome of what is wrong with the modern day GOP. You just illustrated it beautifully with those series of clips. We could do that all day, show clips of Lindsey Graham abandoning his constituency, standing for nothing other than what will keep him in Trump's good graces and get him reelected. And you know me, Fred, I'm not going to sit on the sidelines. I am an experienced candidate. I am a physician who's worked in South Carolina for nearly 2 decades, and I'm a mom of 3 kids in the public school system in South Carolina. I care so deeply about the future of South Carolina, and I can't sit on the sidelines and watch a career corrupt politician like Lindsey Graham continue to drag this country and the state of South Carolina down.
Yeah, and it is doing just that. And we just passed the big ugly bill. I know you must be horrified as a physician of what's buried in there. I mean, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, Your opponent eagerly supported that stuff. How much damage is this going to do to actually South Carolina? How much damage do you expect to see from this horrible bill they just passed?
Untold, unprecedented damage. And Lindsey Graham not only voted yes on this bill, he shepherded it through the Senate. And this bill that is going to gut our nation's Medicaid program is a coordinated attack on our nation's healthcare system. I think people need to understand that Medicaid is the backbone of children's healthcare in this country. And when you take that much money out of any system, you cannot expect it to continue to function. This doesn't just affect the children who are on Medicaid. Medicaid is the largest insurer of children in South Carolina. It pays for 50% of the births and 6 out of 10 nursing home beds. So we are ripping away healthcare from the most vulnerable South Carolinians. And when you take that money out of the system, it impacts every single one of us, even those of us who have the privilege to have private insurance, because these folks are not going to have access to preventative primary care. They're still going to get sick and injured. They're going to show up in emergency departments that are legally required to offer them care. They're going to receive that care, and someone's going to have to pay for it. Hospitals are going to have to make ends meet. They're going to raise the rates they charge our private insurance companies, and our premiums are going to go up. Even though this bill doesn't go into effect until 2026, after the midterm elections, hospitals are already making decisions about hiring, scaling back on service lines, closing facilities in rural communities. This is devastating to the health of South Carolinians, and Lindsey Graham is up there cheering it on and shepherding it through.
And you're seeing it firsthand. I mean, there's no question about it. You're going to see, I mean, when nursing homes collapse, when clinics close. I spoke here recently in rural Missouri. It's jobs too. It's funny how much we talk about, and I want to get your take on that. You know, it's not just the healthcare. People are going to lose their healthcare, but the healthcare profession's in danger from this as well, isn't it?
That's exactly right. In these rural communities where these hospitals are that are at risk of closing now because of this big, ugly bill, these hospitals are the largest employer in these communities. It is going to devastate rural South Carolina. And I think it's so important that we as Democrats point out the fact that you heard Lindsey Graham saying that, you know, he's doing this because he cares about the debt and the deficit. Well, we know what this big ugly bill did to the debt and deficit. And
Right.
the only reason Lindsey Graham cares about gutting Medicaid is because he wants to deliver tax cuts to his billionaire donors and his corporate PAC donors. So, you know, can't trust a word that comes out of that man's mouth. And that's why I'm running against him.
Yeah, and thank God you are. You know, we're also seeing an actual attack on healthcare beyond the bill. I mean, RFK Jr., you're a pediatrician, so you're seeing this attack on vaccines. I mean, you know, and it really feels like not that the Republican Senate, of course, is not interested in any way, shape, or form taking on RFK. Are there things you could do if you get your chance to go up to the Hill and turn back? It's an attack on science. It's an attack on your profession, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And the appointment of RFK Jr., a known grifter and conspiracy theorist, to lead our nation's Department of Health and Human Services was one of the primary reasons I decided to get into this race, because I never in my life thought I would see such a coordinated attack on science. And the damage that RFK Jr. has already done in the few short months he's been in that position will take decades for our healthcare system and our public health system to recover from. What he's doing, questioning the science of vaccines, the safety and efficacy of vaccines, which are really the foundation of children's healthcare in this country, is doing untold damage. Parents don't know where to turn. They don't know who to trust. RFK Jr. is diverting resources from the NIH to study diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and heart disease and cancer to answer a scientific question that has already been answered, which is, do vaccines cause autism? No, vaccines do not cause autism. RFK Jr. is not a serious person, and I can't even believe that in America in 2025, he is in charge of our nation's healthcare system.
Real questions do need to be asked. They need to be asked for the Congress and the Senate kind of walked away with their Article 1 duties, but there goes beyond that. I mean, and I've known you for a few years now, and I've followed you for years. You've always been passionate about the approach to like gun violence, for example. Gun violence, well, it's not the number one issue these days. You know that as a real children's healthcare issue, isn't it? I mean, you bring so much, I think, as a pediatrician, and that's how you've always approached that issue. Is like, it's not just a societal problem; it's a children's healthcare issue, isn't it?
That's exactly. It's a public health crisis. It is the leading cause of death for children in South Carolina and the leading cause of death for children in this country. It's been the leading cause of death for Black and brown children in this country for decades. We have failed so miserably on this issue as public health professionals, as physicians, as a society, as lawmakers. And, folks in South Carolina ask me, Annie, are you going to back away from this issue because it is South Carolina? Absolutely not. It is the number one cause of death for children in my state. There is no way as a pediatrician and a concerned mom that I'm going to back away from this issue. And you know what the news is? The good news is the majority of Americans are with us on that issue, Fred. Over 90% of Americans want universal background checks. And the only place we don't have the moral courage to pass these laws is in the United States Congress. And that needs to change because every child in America goes to school as a kindergartner, learning how to read, learning how to write, learning how to add 1 + 1, and learning how to hide from a bad man with a gun. We expect our children to do that when they're 5. We need to be brave enough to step up and fight this fight on behalf of America's children.
It is like there's layers to it, especially as a parent like you are. You have young kids, instantly what they have to deal with and how they hear it. I think another one that I was thinking as we were getting ready to talk too, because again, I've known you for a while, is it's funny how the news cycle works in this administration, right? So we forget the big issues that are also out there. I mean, we're chasing the new. When you and I started off talking about the big ugly bill, that's the latest, right? But by that same token, I was talking to my fiance recently. It's like, women haven't had a chance to forget about their healthcare rights, their reproductive rights being stolen from them, right? I mean, as I do talk to many women, it's funny. And I'm a news guy, so I get sucked into the current news cycle. That's sort of fallen off the radar, but the reproductive rights and the healthcare of women has been stripped from them, and the news cycle's moved on. I mean, that's another issue we have to address. We can't forget that it's still out there, can we?
No, we can't forget, especially in a state like South Carolina that has a 6-week abortion ban. We have a Republican supermajority in the state capitol. We have a governor who is the furthest thing from a champion for women's rights as I've ever seen. And Lindsey Graham is there enabling it all and cheering it all on. If I could list all the folks I know in South Carolina and whose opinions I care about what I do with my body and my reproductive organs, Lindsey Graham is going to be on the bottom of that list. So he has no business making these healthcare decisions that should absolutely stay between a woman and her doctor. This is a healthcare issue. And I know that women in South Carolina, even if they come from traditionally Republican households, they are not okay with this assault on their reproductive freedom.
And it's amazing to me, as I sat here talking to you and listening to this conversation, how many of these issues are about attacking our healthcare, our science, our understanding of who we are, which then goes to our whole society. I mean, I think it's funny that, it's we don't talk about that enough. I think it's you as a healthcare professional, as a pediatrician, bring that conversation to the front, because in the end, that's what we're seeing, right? We're seeing in America, healthcare, our society, our societal social nets are all under attack from this administration. And I imagine you have plans to try and turn back the tide, don't you?
That's exactly right. I mean, there's never been a more important time for folks like me with a background in healthcare to step up and run for office. When we're going through our medical training, medical school residency, it's a very busy, hard time. We don't have time learn about how to run a political campaign or to even consider engaging in this work. But, after I spent nearly 15 years working at the Children's Hospital in the Low Country of South Carolina, I had enough. I was tired of treating preventable injuries and illnesses bedside to bedside, hospital room to hospital room, because I understood these are policy problems. These are broken policies coming out of Washington, D.C. and state capitals all across this country that are harming our kids and families long before they ever got to me in the Children's Hospital. So I'm an inpatient person, and I realized I needed to go upstream to solve the problems my patients were facing. And that's why I got involved in advocacy and ultimately why I got in politics. So for other healthcare providers out there, please, we are smart enough, we are qualified to run for office. If I can do it, you can do it. And there's never been a more important time, because as we have said, this is a coordinated attack on our healthcare system, our public health infrastructure, and science in general.
I don't think I can figure out a better place to finish this thing, except the one big question. I'm running at the screen now. Where can the Meidas Miner reach out to you, send you some money, volunteer there in South Carolina, others? What's the best place to track you down?
Yes, I'm all over social media, as every Democratic
Yes,
can be. I have a lot of fun on social media because we
Yes, you
cannot
do.
let them steal our joy. So follow me on Instagram, Annie Andrews MD. Same over on X. I'm on Blue Sky, DrAnnieAndrews.com. I'm now on TikTok. I'm everywhere. I'm easy to find. My website is DrAnnieAndrews.com. People need to understand that we have got to run everywhere. Democrats can win in southern states, and I'm about to prove that to be true, but I cannot do it without support from all over the country. So DrAnnieAndrews.com, sign up to volunteer and throw me a few dollars if you can.
I love it. Get on it. Annie, thank you for taking time. A Senate race is a busy time no matter when you start. So I appreciate you taking a few minutes out. I know you're not even home. So thanks and the best of luck. And obviously with the Meidas Money, we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much, Fred.
What a great conversation. I'm a big fan of Annie, as you can tell. I've had the privilege to get to know her. I'm thrilled to see her running for Senate. And she said it so well at the end there. It's time for us to step up. People across America, this is the moment. If we really care about this stuff, it's time for us to get involved. It's early for campaign season, but we're looking at it now because they keep attacking us. So you're going to see candidates popping up across the country. You're going to see more of these in the hot seat episodes. We've already had, this is our 4th in the new series. They're doing great right here on MeidasTouch. As always, you can find me on MeidasTouch every Friday night at 7 p.m. on Democracy with Fred Wellman. We run it live every Friday night. Love seeing you there. And of course, too late to cancel on Sundays on the On Democracy Network. Thanks for your time. Keep up the fight. This is how we do it, folks. We get in the fight and we win. I'm Fred Wellman. We'll see you soon.